If you're a classroom teacher or related service staff, you know how hard it is to interpret the needs of your student who has a visual impairment and actually educate them. In this video, we are walking you through the 4 steps that you need to take in order to increase the academic and daily living skills of those students who have visual impairments, because it's not easy, my friend. Now, the best part is we do have CEUs available, but you have to register so that way we can keep our accreditation. Go to the link below to register, grab the CEU codes, fill out the form, and you're good to go. But otherwise, just enjoy the video. In these 60 minutes, my friend, we are going to take everything that you're doing and we're going to help you change just a little bit, so that way as you begin to pivot, you are getting a better trajectory for where both you and your student with a visual impairment need to go, so that by June you can look back and be so excited and so elated with your progress. The goal here is to give you skills and strategies so that way you can leave work on time and not stay late every day planning. So imagine this, it's 3:15. Your student who has a visual impairment is packing up their bag. They're getting ready to go at the end of the day and they have a big smile on their face because they got it. And you, my friend, same thing. You feel confident. You were able to teach your lesson, the same lesson that you would teach to any other student, and just adapt it to their visual needs and the needs that they have without having to stress, without feeling insecure about it, and finally knowing that you are on the right path. Now, that does take strategy, but what I really want for you is that sense of confidence and freedom. By the end of this training, you're going to walk away with 4 proven 21st century teaching strategies that are going to help increase the academic and daily living skills of your student with a visual impairment without you having to stay late every day to prep materials. And yes, that's even if you have a great TVI who takes on the bulk of the work. That's even if you've been with your student for a long time. And that's even if you don't have any more time in your day to squeeze in yet another thing. The fact of the matter is, you are here after school learning new ideas and strategies because you're a dedicated teacher, and I want to honor that time. You're going to quickly notice that these strategies are all science-backed, that they're easy to implement, and that they're for all types of learners with visual impairments, no matter how much experience you have and no matter how many or few students with visual impairments that you have. Now, for my TVIs and my O&Ms in the group, I'm going to call you guys the experts, okay? So when I talk to you, I'll call you the experts. For my classroom teachers, my speech therapists, my SPED teachers, we'll call you the educators. This program is designed specifically for educators because it's really hard when you get a student who has a visual impairment and everything that you've been taught up until now all has to do with vision. So let's take 1 second and think about a baby in a high chair. Now, that baby in a high chair is just watching their mom make lunch. And that mom goes into the cupboard and they go get the bread. Then they go into the upper cabinet and then they go get the peanut butter. They go into the fridge, they go get the jelly. Then they get a plate, they get a knife, they open the jars, they spread the peanut butter, spread the jelly, they cut it, they sit down at the table, they start to take bites. If you could guess, scientifically, what is the percentage of information that that child got from just watching? Mom not saying anything. If you know the answer to this, I'm asking it in a trick question way. The real scientific way to say is, how much information does your vision give you? You can go ahead and put it in the chat. Zoom is having a little bit of a lag here, so I'm going to keep going. We've got 70%. Let's see, you guys. Come on, take a guess. You can't be wrong. It's fine. We've got 80%, 90%, 85. Yeah, you guys are on the right path. Okay. Now I want you to get your mind blown emojis out if you can. Because yeah, you guys are right. The thing that most struggling teachers don't realize is that vision is responsible for 90% of our learning. Now, that's not to say it's super sad. What I'm trying to share with you is that teachers are taught how to teach using our vision because it's the most easily accessible way to get information in. So go ahead and put those mind blown emojis in the chat if you got it in ya. And if not, that's a-okay. When you're thinking about your classrooms, it's no wonder. There we go. Caitlin has got me. It's no wonder that what we see happening is that our students are often sitting off to the side, watching, listening, and or they are expected to just listen to, maybe sometimes it's just this one lesson, and that's simply because of how the system is set up. The system is set up right now that your TVI will come in if you have a student who has a visual impairment and you're the classroom teacher and they work with that student. Oftentimes they pull out, sometimes they pull in, and then that TVI has to leave. They can't stick around. And oftentimes that may be the only time that that TVI is in the building or even in that city for an entire week. Because just like teachers have 30 students on their caseloads, so do TVIs. It's just their geographical area goes from a classroom to sometimes a county or more than that. And so it's no wonder that the dedicated teachers like you are coming in early and staying late, and it never seems like enough. Because it's not just about putting on a blindfold and looking at their eye report, you have to change your entire way of looking at education. And just like a building blueprint tells you exactly how to construct a building using 21st century expanded core curriculum strategies. That's what ECC stands for, expanded core curriculum strategies. It gives you the exact framework that you want to be using when you're working with your students who have visual impairments. Now, the expanded core curriculum, I'm not going to fully go into it. And I don't expect our teachers to memorize this. There are 9 areas. It's hard enough for the experts in here to memorize them. But what I'm going to show you is how you can use this information and just plug and play directly into what you're already doing. And yes, the very, very end, the last 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can go deeper with this information, but we don't even need to worry about that right now. Now, if you don't know me, hi, I'm Cassie, but most of you guys know me as the founder of the Society of Exceptional Educators, and I absolutely love this role, getting to train you guys, and I've gotten to train hundreds of TVIs and O&Ms all around the world. It is so much fun. We have a great time in our programs. But what you may not know is I'm actually still a practicing orientation and mobility specialist. I actually had classes all day today. And a few years ago, I found myself also stuck in that system. I was so frustrated and I was floundering, and it wasn't because my classes were going bad or wrong or horrible, is that I didn't have time to connect with my teacher. Because as you know, what happens is me, the related service, I go in, I pull my student out, or even if I push in, that teacher then has another one-on-one student during that time because she's using me being there to capitalize on her extra time. And we could not connect. And I was making an object calendar and I made it. I did my lesson. Like we had talked about it a little bit. And I was like, okay, here's the object calendar. Please start to use this. It'll be great. Shared with her why. This is how you use it. Okay, cool. And then I left because I had other students. And then I came back the next week, had my student again, and I go to use the object calendar to transition over to the next activity. And I was like, hey, where is this? She says, oh, yeah, the kids ate it. So I put it away. But she didn't have time to email me. And I had no idea that the children in the class had eaten my calendar, and it was just like shoved away. And I realized that it's because she didn't see the importance of it. And she saw it as me just telling her to do one more thing. And I think that that's how it can seem as TVIs and O&Ms and any related service. We go into these classes, we're like, we have this great idea, do all this. And the teacher is already like, yeah, I'm doing everything I already can. Like, you want me to do more? How can I fit that in? And eventually, I was able to get them to understand the purpose of it. I was able to help them skyrocket our students' skills because I was able to get them to understand why I wanted these things done. And they were able to do so with confidence and ease because the goal isn't to give you more work. It's to be able to help you figure out how to assemble the bricks that you're laying so that everybody has access to the education you're already providing. And most importantly, out of all of that, our relationship got better because they finally understood how the expanded core curriculum can easily be implemented into what they're already doing. So what I ended up doing was I bridged the gap and I started teaching. I was getting ready to teach my TAs and my teachers, and another group came in and they were like, "Hey, do you have any training for TAs and teachers?" And I was like, "Yes, come on in. We are doing this all together. Let's meet after school and actually like teach you guys." So, what is this expanded core curriculum that I keep talking about? It's a framework that's on top of the core curriculum, specifically designed to target the areas that our students with visual impairments miss out on. This is on your screen right now is the exact definition from the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And it says it's designed for students who are blind or visually impaired, supplementing the general education curriculum to address their unique needs and ensure that they develop the skills necessary for independence and success. Nowhere on here does it say algebra. Nowhere on here does it say geometry, independence and success. So we have to think about, what does that look like? If you think about your students' education like a skyscraper, you can spend all day, all week, all year having the most beautiful lessons. But if there's not a good foundation, it's going to crumble. And without the expanded core curriculum, the topics that you're teaching often fall directly into concept gaps because remember, 90% of what your student shows up with is probably fragmented. And you need to find those concept gaps and help support them. And that's why it's so frustrating, honestly. It's like, how can I put myself in their shoes, but also how can I find all the concept gaps and fill them when they're different all the time? So these are some of the things that your student will be able to do after you begin to implement these strategies. Increased academic achievement, because that is the ultimate goal of education, moving around their environments, and happily engaging in your lessons. So how do we do that exactly? And this is where it gets fun. There's a framework that I've taken from the expanded core curriculum and I've really distilled it down into what classroom teachers need to know. And I call it 21st century success. For my TVIs and O&Ms, you're going to see direct lineages to Robin Keating Clark's simplified 21st century ECC from the TVI symposium a while ago. This is the exact framework, just adding in one extra piece. It's designed to help you skyrocket the academic and daily living skills of your students with visual impairments. And the first thing that we want to do is use the vision in order to inform instruction. Now, I said before that it's not just looking at the eye report and like figuring it out, right? Go to ChatGPT, what exactly does this mean? It's about taking a look at that child in a holistic way of view. Because what can happen when you don't is you misunderstand what's happening educationally. My SLP for one of my students actually just wrote an email last week or 2 weeks ago to the group, and she said, "Hey, I think our student needs Braille." Because he's not looking at, she had like cards, right? She wants him to be able to say the end of words. And so she like shows him a picture of a cat and she wants him to be able to say the whole word cat. And she said, he's not looking at it. And the TVI wrote in and said, well, because his vision, that those are his visual needs, is to actually look away. So I'm not going to do Braille, although thank you for that idea, but he just needs more processing time. Now, just reading a report isn't going to give you that information. And so it's a common misconception, and things like that, tiny things happen all the time because vision isn't just in your eye, it's a holistic experience that your student will go through. And a lot of times, what causes the visual impairment is also causing other things. Either their visual impairment is actually in the brain, or there's pituitary gland issues, or the student has ONH and they need a lot of water, but they can't have a lot of water, and you've got a lot of that going on too. Or again, ONH or pituitary gland issues. You've got behavioral things happening even if you go up a ramp, right? The iReport isn't going to tell you that. If the student goes up a ramp and they feel out of balance and they can't control their emotions, you might have a meltdown on the way to the grocery store that has a ramp. That kind of stuff is really hard to put together, which is is the challenge, right? It's why you're here. And we dive so much deeper into this in in our programs, but for today I want you to look at just these three things. I like to think of it as a triangle. We've got the visual data, we've got the etiology, and then we've got the visual perspective. Can you guys see the whole word perspective here? No, I think it cut off. I apologize about the formatting. So when you're looking at visual data, a big part of it is going to be your acuity. Now, you guys probably already know this. It's the keenness or clearness that you can see. It's a 20 over 20, 20 over 200. The way that I like to describe this number is 20/20 is normed, right? This is the person A has 20/20. Person B has 2200. So what person A can see from 200 feet away, person B needs to be 20 feet away from. So just looking at that one piece of visual data, it might make sense as to why our student needs to have everything so close. Maybe why they're hunching over. But that's not the only thing. You've also got depth perception. You've also got visual fields. So I have some students who can only see from the bottom part of their eye, and so they're constantly looking up. Or I have some students who can only see from the top of their eye, so they're constantly looking down. And it kind of looks like they're not paying attention, but that's where they can see best from. Or if they have nystagmus and their eyes wiggle a lot, and you need to find what their null point is, then you want to be able to place objects in their null point so that their eyes don't wiggle as much. It could also be the time of day, could also be the lighting. So there's a lot of considerations that we're going to look at. Now, we're not going to go into a lot of visual impairments, just the top one that is also the most confusing is the cerebral or cortical visual impairment. They're just about one and the same. There's some differences. You don't really need to worry about them. Just think about it as the visual impairment is actually in the brain and not in the eye. And as you know, in the brain, when things are firing differently, we know that their vision is going to be different on any given day. So that makes it even more confusing and even more fun to kind of figure out. Now, there are definitely some ways that you're going to want to adapt for a cerebral visual impairment. Does anybody in the room have a kiddo with a cerebral or cortical visual impairment? Because if you do, I'll give you like the general. Okay, repeat your own child. Nice. Yes. Okay. So are you guys using black background? Several students, Amy? Yeah. This is a big one right now. Yes. So what you may not realize, and a lot of people have figured this out already, and this piece of information is pretty prevalent in the internet space, is you're going to want to have black background. And so what that might look like is there's like bulletin board paper that is fabric that I love, and it's matte, and you can just put it down and then get red duct tape, put it down, and that is the student's workspace. Or get those three science, those science boards, put that up, or have like a space in the classroom that is all black. It's a little bit different. We'll go into that a little bit more. There's it's bulletin board paper, her Pete, and it is actually made of fabric. It's really cool. And you can just like put it down on the student's workspace and then um put red duct tape around it. So I asked, there used to be like Perkins had a really great, like this is what a person with a visual impairment with CVI might see, but they have taken that down. So I asked AI to make it. It's kind of close. But a person with a visual impairment with CVI might see something of this nature, where um some of the vision might be clear at times, some of it might be blurry. It's definitely going to be changing. Now, scientists have also, come on, there we go. Scientists have also indicated that when you have CVI, your brain doesn't track things visually in a recurring pattern, like if you don't. Okay. Apparently, I'm not supposed to show this. Here we go. It's just a silly thing that it came kind of close, except for the fact that it has like kaleidoscope words. But it's just an example of one possible moment in that student's life. Let me see if I can pass it. Okay. So we don't have as much time as I would like to go deep into every single column. But for my classroom teachers and my mom, um, you want to look at the triangle. Camellia is saying, I hope you will address students with low cognitive ability. Your student just throws everything and she won't even attend. Okay. I'll do that at the end because I'll have to ask you some individual questions, Camellia, but I've got you. And let me see if I can like put it into this section too. So, column 2. And the truth is, every student can access your instruction. Classroom teachers, you don't need to rebuild the house. I know that it is overwhelming when you get a student with a visual impairment, and admin is not always the most helpful. Some admins are great. Some admins are like, here's your caseload, figure it out. And this one is just so different. You don't need to rebuild the house. You just need a new way in. So what we're looking at now is using teaching strategies for non-visual learning. And granted, okay, your teaching strategies are going to vary depending upon that student's level of vision and cognition and their behavior at any given moment. And not all students with visual impairments are completely blind. So how do you adapt your lesson without saying that? And Camellia, you might like this too. For you, Camellia, I would say your relationship, right? I had taken out the pyramid of learning, but the pyramid of learning has like the nervous system down below, and that's where you're going to be focused on. At the very end, I'll see if I can grab that for you. It's hidden in here and I can't grab it now. But you're going to want to look at what is the function of the lesson, okay? And then what 3D materials do I already have on hand? If you don't, then maybe, yeah, go onto Temu, go onto Amazon, go to Walmart or your Dollar Tree and get 3D materials. Just get a variety of different things that you can use to count, that you can use to sort, and that you can use to help start helping your student categorize. But most importantly, and my SLP in the room here, this one's for you. How can I turn this into a routine? Because our students, especially our low functioning ones, thrive in routines. And I'll teach you exactly how to do that. So you can take what you're already doing and turn it into routine. We know in the VI world, Millie Smith has taught us a lot about routines. But if you look at regular education, routines are still really powerful. This is just an article from the Education State, and it specifically says that routines offer powerful opportunities for connection, engagement, and development. So if you think about just like for you, the power of routine, right? Say you are driving over to a new place, a new restaurant that you're going to go to. And the first time you go there, it is kind of hard to get there. Like you're feeling apprehensive, you're a little bit on angst, you're looking at the screen of your GPS, like, is that like a big intersection? Am I turning right now? Am I turning in 5 minutes? There's three different streets. Which one is it? And there's a little bit of anxiety there, yeah? And then you finally get there. Cool. But let's say it's book club and your book club is meeting every week at that same restaurant. By the third month of you going there every week, you're not looking at your GPS anymore. In fact, you're probably like, oh, there's Starbucks. Or like, oh, look, there's that Old Navy. I need to go return those jeans anyway. I'm going to do that next time I come. And then, like, oh, look, there's a grocery store. I'll stop and I'll grab some food for afterwards or whatever it is, because you're able to sink into that moment easier. Now, I'm going to have you take what you're already doing, turn the materials into 3D, or use objects if you can, or object symbols if they're very low functioning, and just pick one routine to start with. You don't need to change everything that you're doing. Then this one, don't hate me for it, please, but I'm going to have you write out the steps of the routine just so you have it, even if it's in chicken scratch. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll definitely want to write it out. And then, scientifically, the way that routines get embedded into our nervous systems and the way that they work the best is by having the same beginning and ending. For those of you guys who have students on the spectrum, you might want to have the routine be the same across the board. Or maybe one part of it gets changed and they have like a choice board. For other people, you don't need it to be the same. You want it to be different. That's part of the routine, is that it's different and the kids don't know what to expect and it's fun and it's upbeat or whatever. Maybe it's a dance party and you don't need to have the same songs every time because that would be boring. But if you can open the routine and close the routine in the same way each time, that's going to spark their brain and their nervous system to say, okay, we're starting this now. Okay, now this is ending. And allow prompt levels to help you scaffold the support. There are 4 distinct prompt levels when you're working with students who have visual impairments, and there is a methodology between going from one to the other and still having your student be successful depending upon the activity. We get more into that in the program, but if you just start to think about how can I scaffold this as you normally would, that'll get you kind of far. You can also make the requests more complex over a long period of time, as you typically do. So when I talk about routines, one of the main routines that I suggest implementing if you're going to take anything away from this 60 minutes and you really want like the most impact and you have no room for anything else on your plate or in your brain, it is this: implementing a calendar routine with your learner. You're going to want to figure out what literacy media is going to work best for them and how to structure that literacy media for their needs. You can work with your TVI and your O&M on this. And you're going to want to figure out how many activities in advance you can do. This one, I believe, is isn't mine, but this is an article, and it is an object calendar where somebody had made boxes for this. Now you can do it just like this. You could use a carpet strip, but the main key is the thing in the back is your finished basket. And so when the activity is done, it gets put in there. Camelia, if you just start with those two things, doing some sort of like routine calendar and continuing to build your relationship, that might really be helpful. And then I've got another question. What is child is very accustomed to the routine and even reminds us what to do next? Do we still need this? He's okay to new changes. So what you'll do is keep, that's where the scaffolding comes in, right? If he's done with the routine, like emotionally over it, change it up. But just keep the beginning and the ending the same. And that beginning and ending could be coming into the room and putting your backpack down. When I was teaching yoga, it was unrolling the mat and rolling the mat back up. I mean, we often ended in the normal yoga pose, the ending pose, but we didn't start in any specific pose. I was able to change it up. So that's where you're going to scaffold, but you don't have to have every single moment be the same, just start and end the same. And if they're already telling you what to do next, then I would suggest changing it up. So if you're looking for types of routines, there are calendar routines, routines to start non-preferred activities. Preferred activities are typically much easier to start, but non-preferred activities might need a little bit of a boost to start, unless that's going to cause more anxiety, or they're like, oh, now I know what's coming, so I'm not going to do it. Then use your own discretion there. Beginning or end of the day routines. And then I'm going to highly suggest to my classroom teachers YouTube video time routines. I know that YouTube is a really great educational tool, but it's not accessible to our students who have visual impairments. And what I've seen happen in my classrooms, as you know, every classroom now basically has some sort of Corinthian board in the room, and it's huge. And it becomes like the thing that everybody's eyeballs are on at all times, even if it's not on. And so it starts to take up not just the room, but the energy and the attention. And so it gets used more often. But what ends up happening with my student is that YouTube time, like movement time, right? Go Noodle is great. It's just not accessible. So, one easy way to make that accessible is to start with the same video, end with the same video. So, and then teach your student those moves. And then I would build a repertoire or library of moves that they do know. And so you can slow down the video, teach the kids the moves, teach your student the moves, and then use the prompt levels that I talked about before to help support them through that activity so that they're not just sitting off to the side. Does that make sense? You guys are doing great with your questions. Please feel free to ask more questions. Oh gosh, I am sorry. I tried to scrolling. Better Than Paper is the name. Oh, okay. Amy's answering questions in there. Perfect. And then the third pillar, we're looking at the environment because we know that your environment is going to determine what is possible for you. Developingchild.harvard.edu has like this incredible PDF document all about environments, and while they go into like pollution and blah 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 blah, what I want you to just see is that if you have a positive environment, it has a positive effect. But if you have negative influences in the environment, it's actually likely to result in a higher prevalence of disease and impairment, which is really interesting because you know that they say that a fish can only get as big as its pond. A turtle can only get as big as its aquarium. And when you think about our students like that, it's not just the environment that is helping to facilitate their learning and their growth, but their daily living skills. Because think about like, have you guys ever watched Hoarders, right? And if you were to go into a house like that, is someone laughing? I can't see you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, if you were to go into a house like that, you wouldn't be able to access the sink to do the dishes, the bathroom to do your business, like the laundry room. There, you can see like that's an extreme, but your classroom is the environment that your student is in for about a third of their life, for their waking hours. And so when you can just move things around or change some things if they need to be changed, it's not only going to help them academically, but with their daily living skills, which is so fun when you think about like you could just do a few little things and change this child's life forever. And it's just a matter of knowing like how and what to change so that you're not stressed out about it. You're not having to Google a bunch of stuff and you have like a direction as to where to go. When I go in and I do an environmental analysis, which is an actual thing that TBIs and O&Ms do in classrooms, we're looking for a bunch of different things. But the top three that I really focus on with my teachers are we meeting the students' visual needs? And going back to that triangle, what is the lighting like? And does the organization in here allow them to be successful and independent? So if you look at some classrooms, they have a lot of clutter. And this used to be the day like when we were in school, it's not as much anymore, but some teachers really love decor. And there is like an indoctrination thing that says the cuter your classroom, the better of a teacher you are, which is not actually the truth. So if you don't decorate your classroom, know that you're still a good teacher, even though Instagram and Pinterest would probably tell you otherwise. But sometimes it gets to be too much clutter. Now, what we want to do is see if we can decrease that clutter and see if we can take down some of those posters if you have too many, or if your posters are so small, or if there's like, the flags of all the flags are in just one poster and it's laminated and there's glare coming onto it and your student can't really access that, it might be distracting for them. So for some of our classes, it's actually a lot better if we can take down some of the things, keep up some decor if you like it, and allow your students' vision to focus in specific areas. Now, like I said, if they have cerebral visual impairment, you're probably going to want to incorporate some black in there. Talk to the team, figure out exactly where to put that black and how much you want to put in there, and see if there's any other areas that you can create like visually calming spaces. Because the other thing that you're going to want to do is have good contrast, but also all of that stuff that you have on the wall, you really want it to be accessible to your student who has a visual impairment without cluttering their desk with all of the posters too. So it's a little bit of give and take. Somebody have a question? Um, and on a lot of our classes, if you guys have big windows, that can cause a lot of glare. So some of my teachers put like a film on there, and some of them literally put curtains. And then if you have those big LED lights, those they're like curtains for the lights. Those are really popular. Love those. As long as it then doesn't become too dark. Because we're now kind of going on the opposite end where a lot of classrooms I walk into, I'm like, how does the teacher even see here? But it's calming for the students. But for my kiddo with the visual impairment, he can't see anymore. So we've gone from one extreme to the other, and that happens. It's okay, but we've got to find our way kind of into the middle. Now, for organization, this is where, and I didn't have a picture of this classroom, just got more and more and more cluttered as she had, it's a life skills classroom. So two of the students have wheelchairs. And they also have walkers. We've got another student who runs around and throws everything, and he needs to be barricaded in and not see the rest of the classroom. So he had like a barricade. Then she had multiple tables with chairs and different sizes, and then also the different areas of the room. I don't know how this class got anything done, and my student in a wheelchair would just little army crawl his way throughout the classroom. And but eventually he stopped crawling around in his classroom because it was too dangerous. And so that organization system, it was set up for like all of the kids, but it wasn't actually working. And you can see here on the left that my teacher had a lot of different bins, but there it's not even necessarily accessible to the students anymore. But it started off as trying to be accessible to them. Whereas the picture on the right, taken from the internet, and you can tell because there's no cords coming from the TV, there's still a lot of glare, but and there's like house plants that haven't been eaten. So congratulations to that fake person. But they have different areas that you can put different things in. So as you're thinking about your organization, maybe there's just like one or two areas for you to kind of clean up, tidy up, see if your student can access it, and see what happens when you step back. And if it feels uncomfortable when you step back and you let them kind of figure it out, then I think you're doing your job, you know? And that'll give you the chance to see, is this a learning rich environment for them, or do I need to change some things? So a few things for you to look at are, does this lighting in every area allow the instruction and the environment to be accessible? Does this environment meet their visual needs? Can my student access the information posted in my room? And does this environment support their independence? One of the classrooms that I know of, the cubbies were kind of like in the hallway before you got to the classroom, and the hallway had some lights, but that one student's specific cubby was in the corner, and she has retinitis pigmentosa. She's 6 or 7, so it's just barely onset. Sorry, I'm gonna go back. It's just barely onset, but because she couldn't see it because retinitis pigmentosa affects your vision at night, right? The teacher knew it affects your vision at night, but hadn't translated that information to, oh, this corner is kind of dark. Like I can see it, it's just fine. But for her, that's night travel level for her. And so just moving that cubby over to where it's underneath the light can do wonders. So when we're looking at another way that we can increase our students' daily living skills is by getting them to move. And oftentimes people will think of, oh, it's just a visual impairment issue. We have to guide them. They can't do it on their own, or we're in a rush. They have to be guided, or they're going to hold my hand. The amount of 9 and 10-year-olds I have seen holding people's hands, have them hold your wrist or your elbow, please. But I'm going to teach you a better trick in just a second, because it's thought that it's the visual impairment when it's not necessarily the visual impairment. Studies have shown that children with visual impairments motor development is actually equal to their sighted peers until 4 to 6 months of age. And we know, and you can write in the chat, what happens at 4 to 6 months of age is that they start to move beyond their body. You can no longer put this little baby on your dining room table and expect them to stay there. They will start to roll off. Ask me how I know. I never did that to my child. I totally did that to my child, and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that again. But they saw something and they wanted to go get it. It's a lack of motivation to move. Now, I'm not saying that they don't want to move. I'm saying that it's our job to build confidence one step at a time by getting them to move and access the correct motivation. There's a huge misconception that O&M specialists are the ones responsible for all of the movement everywhere, because it can be really hard. Also, because we're kind of strict about things. Also, because like cane skills are a lot and you kind of got to do it right. But the classroom teacher and the TA are with their students 25 to 27% of the students' waking lives. I'm with my students 1 to 2% of their waking life, and 2% if we are on buses traveling around the city. Typically, an hour a week is all in with my students, and we as people are typically awake 112 hours a week. So it's not much. Now, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, what studies have shown, again, is that it doesn't matter where the motivation comes from, they do the same thing. They strive to maximize reward and minimize punishment. Maximize reward in this manner means getting what you want. Minimizing punishment just means not getting hurt. And so, what I see often, I'm going to let you guys see me while I do this, is the student, let's say Sally needs to get up from her seat and go over to the cabinet. The teacher will stand near the cabinet and say, "Hey, Sally, come to the cabinet, come to the cabinet." And then Sally hears that, uses what's called localization, stands up and goes to the cabinet. Teacher says, "Great, she knows how to find the cabinet," and goes about her day. There's nothing wrong with that. But if the teacher wants to be able to step back, it's really hard. Like if you have another kid having a meltdown and Sally needs to get to the cabinet, who's going to stand there and tap on it? Sally doesn't have the intrinsic motivation to get there, and she hasn't been challenged to increase her spatial awareness. So in the program, we teach you what all this is. Also, we'll go through landmarks and clues so that you know if you're saying the right word and doing things in the right way. We'll also go through cane skills. But for today, let's look at how you, as any teacher, can start to get your students to use their intrinsic motivation and they can start to use their spatial awareness. First, you're going to start using directional language. So you're going to just think about it before you say it. Instead of saying over here or over there, which everybody does. So if you've done that in the past, and I have too, we all do it all the time. No shame. We're just going to learn a new way today. You're going to stand near your student, maybe even facing the same direction as them, and then give them step-by-step directions. So I like to do it like from one space, and then telling them what to do. And then of course you're going to add in more directions. Now, if you once they get to this level and they can do one-step directions or even two-step directions, change where you're standing. You don't have to be in the same spot. They don't need to become prompt dependent like that. So I like to do it from I like to bookend it actually with landmarks, but if you're starting from a place, you're not going to be at a landmark. Tell them the verb that you want them to do. Walk forward, stand up, sit down, turn, whatever. And then the direction. So again, walk forward is the direction. Turn left, turn right. And then the next landmark. So from your desk, okay, stand up, turn left, walk to the cabinet. It makes it a lot simpler if you just do okay, what am I having the student do and where are they going? They're going to start from one spot, they're going to walk, they're going to turn, and they're going to go to wherever. If you can keep it very simple for yourself, that's less for you to think about later, because every time you start to think about different things, it takes more calories in your brain. That's why you become overwhelmed. Does that kind of make sense, you guys? We're just going to simplify it, but we're going to say the words. So when you are building confidence, we don't have time to go into a bunch of cane skills today or anything. If you just start with this, that's going to help change the game for everything. You're going to want to think about, how can I support intrinsic motivation to move? You're also going to want to start to look at the students' cane skills. If they're using a cane, start using guide technique correctly if you are not doing that already. And also start to back off a little bit. And then over time, eventually by April, you're just quiet and walking silently behind these kiddos. And of course, incorporating the use of landmarks and clues. So we've got 4 different pillars and 4 different strategies here. I just fire hosed you with a lot of different things. And what we're going to do now is recap, but also put you in June. It is June now, okay? So you're going to close your eyes for a second and think about yourself in June. You've made it through the year. You're no longer scrambling, and your student has grown. So have you. And your student is progressing faster than ever before, and you know what to do, and it feels easy. That's the life I want for you in June. And I know that that is possible for you. I'd love to know, if you have it in you, what's the first thing that you're going to do when you get back to work tomorrow? Just put it in your planner that you're going to start to implement. Maybe it's just to look up your student's visual impairment. Maybe it's just to go sit in their seat in the class. Maybe it's to plan a routine. Find one thing. Go ahead, put it in the chat. What about a kid with CVI? Can they use motorized power wheelchairs? Yes. To move around? It depends on the student, Harpreet. And it depends. I mean, I think you're the parent. So that would really depend on if they understand where they are in space and if they have the motor control to do that, and if insurance and finances align as well. So talk to your O&M and your PT, because they're the people that are going to be helping you with that. But I have a student right now. My kiddo was born 23.6 weeks, and that's my goal for him. Yeah, he was born before viability. He has CVI, cannot move any part. He's very hypertonic, and I think he'll be able to get there for sure. So shoot for the moon, right? That's your job. Yeah. And like Harpreet's dreaming big for her kiddo. I want you to dream big for yourself too. How much faster you can increase your students' academic and daily living skills if you were able to go deeper into the VI foundations than what we were able to cover before, and how much more confident you would feel having conversations with the team. Just think about how many times you might have a question and you just don't know how to ask it. But if you knew how to ask it, and if you knew what all the words meant and you had a scientific understanding, it would level up your ability to have those conversations. Amanda says she's going to bring props for all of her visually impaired and kinesthetic audience members. Oh, lovely. And PowerPoints with dark backgrounds. Yes. Amanda, you'll have to tell me what you do. That's so fun. And how much less guessing and Googling and chat GPTing that you would have to do on a Saturday night. BT dubs, chat GPT takes all the old information about visual impairments and gives it to you like as though it is correct. It is not correct. Please do not just be using chat GPT. We actually developed our own AI bot because I could not use chat GPT. So we developed our own that doesn't pull from that information. Someone's going to bring in an APA black felted trifold board. Yes. Nice job, Julie.
Right.
We know that if nothing changes, nothing changes. But if you make different choices, you get different results, right? Think about yourself in June. Now, if you stop now, you'll get close. But if you keep going, if you keep learning, you'll get so much further. But sometimes it's not just about the choices, right? We can say that we're going to make different choices, but if we don't have all of the strategies and the knowledge and to go deeper with this information, then it's hard to get those results. And if we don't have the resources, sometimes it's not just about knowledge, it's about actually having resources. It's even harder to get those results. In our VI Foundations program, this is exactly what we give you. It is 6 weeks. That is it. Confidently teach students with visual impairments. If you are a classroom teacher or my SLP in the room, this program, by the time you go home for winter break, you will have the same information that the experts have, just tailored only to what you need to do. It is designed for all educators working with students who have visual impairments to help you skyrocket your students' academic and daily living skills faster than ever before, to confidently lead IEP meetings with a scientific understanding of what you need to know and collaborate with the TVIs and O&Ms to ensure your students' success. Teresa's actually an O&M. I told you guys we have a pretty cool group if you come hang out with the society enough. She's been an O&M in the society for many years, and she was actually the one to reach out. And she took the course with her TAs, and she said that the course helped her teachers and TAs to be able to support the unique needs of her students with visual impairments, and it further developed their knowledge. And that's exactly what I want to give you, because you went, for a lot of you guys, you went to school for all the things that you do, or you're a TA and you didn't go to school for all of those things that you do, but you're taking programs, and there isn't very much professional development out there for this and for you. Now, I will also say that there is some out there, and this is going to be the most concise, curated, and, in my opinion, the best option. There are 6 weeks. We'll start November 3rd. We end the week of November 3rd. And we'll end the week of November 17th. We'll meet once a week, and the cohort chooses either Wednesday or Thursday. Full disclosure, I'm a single mom. Wednesdays and Thursdays are my days off from my kiddos, so those are options, as well as weekends. I can do that as well. And you guys choose. The cohort chooses their days and times, and then if you can't make it, then you can also catch the replay. And we go over the same 4 core, but then we have 2 other ones to dive into it, and also to support you on the way out, and a resource hub. So that way you know exactly, like, where can I get a swim machine? Here's the link. What are the CVI strategies? How do I use a voiceover on this device, right? A lot of students even have phones now, or you're using voiceover or other screen readers. Also, how to find free and accessible tactile graphics and free braille and low vision books. So many different things. It's typically $215 to join us, but we are running a winter cohort. If you join by October 30th, which is next week, you can join for just $75. It's 2 payments of $75 or $147. And then we have a huge, huge bonus bundle. And we really thought about, like, what's going to move the needle for these people? Not what's convenient for me, what's going to move the needle for you. We have a bonus training that Juliet and I did on how to teach students with complex access needs. Harpreet, we don't have a specific program for CVI kids. We teach about all students with all visual impairments, but we do have ways to help you specifically for your CVI child and student. We also have a program that's like a monthly membership as well. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to us and I'll help walk you through whatever is best for you. For my teachers, your CEU certificate, Missy Elliott loves learning with us. And again, not looking at what's convenient for me, but what's going to move the needle for you. We are giving you 5 one-on-one coaching calls. So if you have specific questions, like, okay, what about this? How do I do this? Please just go in there, schedule. You have access to my calendar. They're 15 minutes. That's typically as long as it takes. If we need to go longer and we can go longer, we will, but typically you have 15 minutes. And so you have 5 of those absolutely free. We also have a VIP community. We have an app as well. You're welcome to write in there. We'll answer your questions in there also. And here's the big one. The thing we want to do is bridge the gap. I'm not going to be sharing things with you that are going to be contradictory from what your TVI or O&M are doing. Absolutely not. And I'm willing to offer your entire team, up to 5 people, half-day training. So if you don't want to do the 6 sessions, you don't have to. You can come and schedule a team training with myself and your team. We can do it online. This is an $1,800 value. Again, I am very committed to making sure that the classroom teachers around the world understand what to do so that it's not as stressful. Because I think that that's how we're going to generalize the skills of our students with visual impairments. And you get lifetime access. Got lots of questions coming in. And I will answer you guys in just a second. When you join by Friday, that's tomorrow at midnight, because I know a lot of you guys are going to have to ask your boss, and that is a-okay. I want to give you time to do that and to think about it. I'm not trying to rush you. You're also going to receive a little booklet that has what to do when you first get a student with a visual impairment on your caseload. It walks you through like week by week, and it kind of scaffolds you. You've already had your student for over a month, but you might still be able to look through and say, okay, did I do this? Do I have a good understanding of that? Like, how do I put it all together, right? 60 minutes is great, but is it going to get you everything that you need? No, it's not. There's so much more. We've got people in the room here who have 5 years of university and they're still showing up to the same training because there's always much more to learn. So you get your 6 week study group, you get your resource hub, and over $2,700 in free bonuses specifically designed to help you succeed. And specifically designed so that way this fits into your life. With our VI Foundation's winter cohort, you can join today, $75. Also, you can pay in full, and we do accept purchase orders. We've got all this for you. Diane, will you please put the link to our checkout page if you guys are interested and want to see more in the chat? You guys are so welcome. While she's doing that, I'm going to scroll up and answer any questions. She says she's a preschool teacher too and homeschooling your 8-year-old. Women run this world, don't you, Harpreet? Wow, that is incredible. Do you have students with visual impairments at your home that you're teaching? I wonder how much that this would help your preschool classrooms too. One kid in school. Okay. You're incredible. I just love this community. Thank you so much for showing up. This is so fun. I love connecting with you guys. Like my favorite part of my day. You guys are so welcome. If you have any questions about VI Foundation's registration is gonna just stay open. We start on November 3rd, but if you want those discounts, make sure that you join by the 30th, which is next Thursday, before all the craziness of Halloween, okay? Want to make sure that you're in and you answer any of the emails that we send you asking about your availability so that way we can get started the week of the 3rd. It'll either be that Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll meet typically after school, maybe around this time. And I want to make sure that it works for you so that way by June, you guys feel comfortable and confident knowing that you can take any lesson, right, and make it accessible for any kind of student so that the next time, next year, you have a student with a visual impairment, not a problem. Hopefully you will be staying in this field for a very long time. And we know that people with visual impairments, the amount of people with visual impairments is going to keep increasing thanks to lovely medical interventions like my student who's 23.6 weeks. And I know that this is kind of hard to fit into your day, but if you need an agenda from us, or if you need us to reach out to your boss or anything like that, we have flyers, we have all of this stuff for your bosses as well, and we're happy to do so. Yeah, you guys are amazing.